When you work in agriculture, some of the challenges, roadblocks, or opportunities come from policy at various levels. That's why it's crucial to help young people getting into the agriculture field learn how to understand policy and how to take their proper seat at the table. Please welcome our next moderator, Kelsey Yugerslav, and our second set of panelists here to discuss this important topic.
Thanks, Alex. Hello, everyone. As Alex said, I'm Kelsey Ursuv, and I work at Bear Crop Science based in Calgary. I've spent close to 20 years working in the ag space, and I'm passionate about advocating for the future of ag. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be the moderator for this panel on agricultural advocacy, policy, and collaboration. Agriculture is immensely affected by policy at various levels, including economic and labor, climate, trade, and more. Often being in agriculture means becoming an advocate. Our panelists will share how they've found their voices and earned a seat at the table, and how they've learned to collaborate with others to achieve common goals. On that note, I'm going to invite the panelists to introduce themselves at this point. Can I turn it over to you first, Liz, to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me on this panel, by the way. My name is Liz Robertson, and I am the retired executive director of the Canadian Association of Farm Advisors just in June. So you're asking me to kind of come back in and remember a lot of this stuff. I've had grandkids in the meantime. But anyway, I was the executive director of the Canadian Association of Farm Advisors for over 20 years. And the Canadian Association of Farm Advisors is a national non-for-profit organization, and they're dedicated to assisting farm families and farm businesses by increasing the skills and knowledge of farm advisors. So for 20 years, I kind of helped organize that association, ran their educational programs, and met some incredible people in agriculture across this country. Many of them farmers, most of them farm advisors, so people like accountants, lawyers, bankers, agrologists, family coaches, etc. Now that's me.
Wonderful. Thanks, Liz. And we're just trying to ease you into retirement. You gotta
Well, this is a shock back
right.
into it.
Kendra, can I get you to jump on screen here and
Sure.
introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Kendra Donnelly. I grew up on a beef feedlot operation, ranching operation, and farming operation. And I went to school, got my master's, worked off farm for 10 years, and then decided to come back. My husband and I bought into one of the feedlot operations. And we've since grown quite a bit, and happy to announce that we just opened a brand new feedlot in Nebraska. So we're now both in Canada and the US. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Kendra, on that. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
So last but not least, to round out our panel, Chris, can you give us a little introduction on yourself?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm Christine Brown. I'm a field crop sustainability specialist with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, and Agribusiness in Ontario. I'm part of the Agriculture Development Field Crop Unit. So our unit, we have a focus on extension and more feet on the ground. So I'm privileged to work together with farmers, with agribusiness, with researchers, with other government staff on maximizing the nutrient and soil health benefits of manure and other organic amendments while minimizing the nutrient losses to the environment. So most people recognize me more as Manure Girl with my Twitter handle. Anyways, I'm also a member on the OMAFA soil team, which works diligently to increase the awareness and importance of good soil health. I live on a small farm near Belmont where my husband Andrew and I operate the acreage, and we're blessed with 5 children.
Wonderful, and that is a memorable handle indeed. so, I will not forget it. So I'm gonna dive into the proper questions now, and maybe I'll put it back over to start with Liz here. But working with policymakers, lobby and activist groups, and in community requires many different skills. So, what do each of you think is the biggest skill you've had to work on in order to become a better advocate or collaborator?
Well, I guess I get the easy answer in this one because I'm not an advocate or a collaborator. By increasing the skills and knowledge of farm advisors, like I said, we had these educational days at CAFA, and we would have speakers come in and talk about, policy planning, etc. We'd also invite many advocates in to speak. And that was always actually some of the most special presentations we had, because you'd hear from people who were passionate and very knowledgeable about what they wanted, and they could articulate the issues so that their farm advisors would understand it. The farm advisors would be able to better help all of their farm clients with this knowledge coming from the advocates. So they're a pretty important bunch for everybody to hear from and learn from.
Thank you. Chris, maybe over to you to answer.
Okay, yeah, so I don't work in policy so much, but I do report to people that are working on policy. And so I think the biggest skill for being a collaborator is listening. Listening to everyone's opinion, trying to understand everyone's goals. I think that helps to see the bigger picture and where there might be opportunities for compromise, because in the end, it's going to be about compromising. I think it's also important to build credibility and trust. I think that's essential. And what we all learn when we have kids is you learn to pick your battles. You don't try and win every single thing. It's trying to decide which is important. I think I've learned that from practicing that as a parent. But really deciding on what's most important, focusing on what we can accomplish, and compromising, and sometimes working in small steps. And I think just an example of that, when I started a couple decades ago, working with organic amendments and manure, most livestock farms didn't test manure. They didn't really value it as the resource that it is today. Working over the years with farmers doing side-by-side comparisons, looking at where they can add value, looking at the economics, listening to what the barriers are with logistics, with equipment, with workload, with all the other things that farmers have to do. I think that also collaborating with regulators and with researchers to try and set a standard from where we can work from. I think that's a lot of collaboration over years that has helped to move organic amendments and manure to where it is today, where it's a more valuable resource. So that's one example. I've got lots more if you need them.
Thank you so much. Kendra, how about from your perspective?
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention for the intro, I also really quite like manure, and was one of the projects I got right when I started about 10 years with the family, is how can we get more value out of manure? So I think I just wanted to add that since Christine is on this panel. But one thing that I've found is, well, I'm still learning. Let's just say that. I think it's something that can be challenging at times, and so I agree with both Liz and Christine, is building relationships and trying to understand each stakeholder's perspective and what lens they're seeing through, so that the conversation can be productive and we can actually look to a goal, or how can we improve and how can we meet everyone's expectations. But then the last one, and it goes to what Liz has done her career, is opening our farm gate, allowing people to come tour, if it's government, if it's schools, if it's universities, community members, and really engage with those tours, show the passion, like my passion or our team's passion or our family's passion, so that they can feel it, they can smell it, they can understand what happens at the farm level, so that when policy happens, right or wrong, if they make a change, they might truly understand the impact, right, to, all our employees' household level or our families' household level. So I think that's something that we've put a lot of energy now, is our farm gate's always open, and we always are open for tours. And that creates this new collaboration, this new thought process or new ideas from young people that, they're getting just as passionate about manure as I am, because they see the potential too. And that was from our tours and showing that passion, right? And showing, yeah, it might smell, it might be, difficult to handle at times, but look what's possible, and it's truly circular. So I think that's what we've really tried to emphasize in the last 10 years.
No, appreciate that. Yes, definitely demonstrating the benefits and connecting on that human level is super super important, and so that people truly do understand better, and they kind of have that maybe more of that empathy as we're moving forward, and important decisions are being made in policy and otherwise. So thank you, all of you, for that. So moving on to the next question, before you can advocate for a cause, you often need to learn to advocate for yourself. Is this something that you're naturally good at, or have you had to learn that skill over time? Maybe I'll stick with you, Kendra, as I'm seeing you face to face on my screen right now.
Okay. So Nettie had mentioned allies, and that really held true to me. When I worked off farm for 10 years, it was still within the cattle feeding sector. So I had like all sorts of allies that saw my passion and my drive and my hard work and curiosity, I guess, in this subject matter. And they really embraced that and took time out of their day, which were very busy men and women, to try and help me and help me on my understanding of where I'm going with my career path or where I should put some of my attention. And so I think that has given me some, more confidence, but that didn't come overnight. And I don't know if it's anything other than just, time. I just needed time to understand what I wanted to focus my energy on and have confidence that I believe in this sector. I believe in agriculture and agri-food here in Canada, and I want to help Canada progress down that path. So
Thank you. Christine, maybe your thoughts on this one as well?
I agree with a lot of the points that Kendra just made. I find it actually very difficult to advocate for myself. I have a deep faith and I trust that God is advocating for me. I think having kids has helped develop these skills sometimes on their behalf. But there's no I in team. And it's like Kendra said, we have a lot of allies. And so I find it easy to advocate for what I believe in, for something that I'm passionate about. So for example, I've been really lucky to have good managers that support our collaborative efforts. And so bringing the North American Manure Expo to Ontario once in 2013 and then again in 2020 or 2021, depending on the year we wanted it or the year that it actually happened because of COVID. But having the support from management and then having a team of people that we work with that are equally passionate and creative from Ontario and from across the United States, those are the kind of things that make things happen and help with that advocating effort. So it really is about the people around us as much as ourselves.
Thank you. How about you, Liz? Do you find that you're naturally good at advocating for yourself?
I guess I've been advocating more for the awareness, the commonality in agriculture. It's a small sector, very small sector, and somebody might be a farm advisor, an accountant, or a lawyer, but chances are really good if they're a member of CAFA, they're also still farming, or they come from a farm. So they're advocating, I guess, on a professional side for agriculture in one way. But like I say, it's a small group and everybody's on the same side, all hoping for the best in agriculture.
Yep, thank you for that. Maybe I'll stick with you, Liz, to kick the next question off. Can you provide examples of how you've collaborated with others for something important to you, and what did you learn from these experiences?
I guess again, it's not me. It's more the organization I work for, CAFA. It was a collaborative organization. The whole idea behind CAFA was to have interdisciplinary advisors working together for the common good of their clients. So you've got an accountant who can't write a will, but he knows a good lawyer who can. So there's, like I said, the collaboration to provide the best services for your client at the end of the day. We bring farmers in, one, so that they could explain, like I say, some of the issues that they were concerned about, the advocates who are very articulate and very passionate about it, and that, reflects amazingly on the sector. So, and I agree with everything that Kendra said and Christine said about allies. Like I said, we're all together in a small sector working together. So I think that's massive collaboration at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you. Christine, what are your thoughts on examples of how you've collaborated with others on things that are important to you? And I was hearing before that maybe this area is a little bit easier advocating for others than than for yourself.
Yeah, there's so many examples of this, but one that comes to mind, you sometimes see, so for example, in Ontario, we've seen with environmental issues that come up and greenhouse gas emissions policies that are starting to come in. Europe has been in that position a lot longer. And so we've seen over time the importance of in-crop manure application. And so about 10, 11 years ago, saw the opportunity to bring this piece of equipment that's used extensively in Europe. It's the dribble bar. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. This would be just absolutely wonderful in crop application, lots of uses. So we had the opportunity to get some funding through a lot of collaboration and bring it into Ontario. So through Farm and Food Care, Husky Farm Equipment, Vogelzang, whole bunch of soil and crop improvement associations and government people. We brought it to Ontario to demonstrate, to display. And I guess what I really learned is it takes time. You want to make a change, you collaborate for policies and for things that move it forward. But at the end of the day, it takes time. And what I really learned is farmers need to see this equipment. They like it. They kick tires. Then they see it again, maybe a year later or at a different event. And eventually they start saying, okay, so where would this fit on my farm? Or how would it fit on my farm? And then eventually, and in some cases it takes 5-10 years, it's, yeah, that would be really cool. And that happens too as policies change or as the environment changes. But so now, 13 years later, 10 years later, whatever, we're starting to see a lot more of these dribble bar technologies coming to Ontario, a lot more excitement with in-crop application. And even though we saw it and started collaborating for it several years ago, the learning is it takes time. We really need to be patient. We need to keep repeating the message over and over again, but really it's about being patient.
Okay, thank you. And Kendra, how about you? What has been your experience?
Yeah, so I've heard this saying quite a few times, want to go far, go together, right? And I think, especially earlier on in my career, I thought things could move quicker than now. I fully understand things don't go the speed maybe is in your head. One example we have is we would like to co-locate biodigesters on our feedlot operations. We have 100% roller compacted concrete on our open pens here in Alberta and in Nebraska. And so our manure is kept quite homogeneous. And so like a dairy or swine farm, which is very unique for the beef industry. Beef industry typically is house their cattle on clay or dirt pen floors, so it contaminates the manure. So it's not as easy to upgrade that manure through biodigestion and to capture that methane for pipeline spec renewable natural gas. So that was kind of what I was set out to do about 4 years ago. I was very passionate about it and created some great collaborations in the first few years. Lots of support at all levels of government, lots of support from lenders and partners in the biodigester. So I think what I realized though is sometimes something quite unique and new to one industry, such as the beef sector, even though biodigestion is quite common in Ontario and in Europe, something new in Alberta or new to the beef industry would take some time for the regulatory framework to fit that box. So although I wanted to sprint, I realized very quickly that doing this together, because it is a new way of thinking about renewable fuels and manure, it needs to take its time and needs to create that collaboration so that when we do it, we do it right. And so that we can be the pilot, I guess, for the industry so that we can see more of these biodigesters come online across the industry. So yeah, we're very excited. We've met all permitting requirements in Nebraska, so we hope to start constructing next spring the biodigester co-located to our feedlot. And here in Alberta, we're almost through the regulatory framework, so we're hoping that's positive and we can start constructing next spring here in Alberta.
Excellent. Well, best of luck in getting that to fruition there. I'll move on to the kind of the final official question that I have for all of you. What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned from collaborating with others on advocacy or policy? Maybe Christine, I'll put it back to you to start off on that one.
Yeah, there's lots of different lessons, and I guess it depends a little bit on what specific, like, is it something that's regulatory versus something that's, for example, cost share. So advocating for cost share, you have a program like SCAP, like the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership, where there's funding. And so when policy gets together with the people in the field, it's kind of what is the wish list, what's important, and it's basically there's a limited amount of money for cost share. There's a whole bunch of different projects. How do you cooperate with people to actually get funds where they're needed, where they're going to hopefully be used, and where it's going to make a difference? Similar with nutrient management software, which is a little bit different, but our AgriSuite nutrient management software has been it's been an ongoing process of improving. But it's important to what do the farmers need? Like, what can they use? But it's not always, it's kind of like what Kendra just said, sometimes you want to sprint and you want to get it done quick. I know what I want. I want something farmers can use, but it's a software that's also being developed for regulatory purposes. So what needs to come first, which regulations have been changed, or which regulations need that software to be functional, so that it's ready to use. And then being able to compromise. Small wins are better than no wins. And in advocating, sometimes those small wins, next time I can go to the next level or to the next level. And then the other one that I think is also important is being able to communicate those small wins, since that keeps us all optimistic, because it's not effective if we lose hope or lose sight or lose that optimism, and keeping that passionate goals, I guess.
Yes, that's absolutely fair. You gotta celebrate the wins as you go. That definitely is helps with the motivation side of things.
For
So,
sure.
how about you, Liz? What have been some of your most valuable lessons?
I think some of the things we've seen is you've got the advocates who let advisors know what some of the issues that they're dealing with. And ultimately, the advisors can help make a difference with that. They can consult with government in some discussions and sometimes make a difference in terms of the policies that are there. And I think the collaborating, like I said, it's a small sector. You've got your advisors, you've got your producers, you've got industry, you've got everybody. And if they all work together, you realize that there's always somebody in the room that knows something you don't know. So it doesn't matter who you're talking to in agriculture, you're gonna pick something up from somebody. And collective knowledge obviously is better than individual knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Kendra, how about you on your current journey? I'm sure you've learned some things along the way.
Yeah, and I'll just like a shout out to advisors out there that Liz mentions. Like have learned a ton from just different people that do business with us, if it's at an advisor level or, provide equipment or whatever that looks like. So I think, we have to look at the broader network than just the producer level, and how we can all advocate. It doesn't always need to be at the producer level. And one example would be or fairly early on my career, I was asked to sit on the board of Alberta cattle feeders, and I think that associations are that was great experience for me because I got to hear from other producers that are doing the exact same thing as me. And I also got to hear and network with government at all level, but also just like having different perspectives and brainstorming. And that's one thing I would say is to get involved with boards that are trying to advocate on your behalf. We need more people that are not producers advocating on our behalf, but we need producers at the table to engage with those that are off farm, that are trying but have a passion for agriculture and agri-food. So I think having that mix of advisors and producers and sitting at the board level and making decisions for the industry is a very neat experience. And young people out there, don't ever think you're too young to sit on a board. I would definitely suggest to get involved. You'll learn more than you'll contribute. So, and that's what I felt. So yeah, those types of experiences that I would say really helped accelerate my ability to collaborate with different people.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We're now going to kind of go into the questions from folks on the call here, and we have one. Since we have definitely a couple of manure experts on here, but there's a specific question around any work with poultry manure. I'd be interested in understanding more on that. We have 3,000 ton. I'm assuming T was short for ton per year, but it's much drier than swine or cattle. Any thoughts, Kendra or Christine, on that from a poultry manure perspective?
I'd be happy to chime in. From my perspective, poultry manure is probably one of the most valuable resources because it is so concentrated. It's concentrated in nutrients. And so in an industry where Kendra would be able to verify that with anaerobic digestate, it's high water content. Poultry manure is concentrated, so it's much easier to move to or sell to farms that are a little bit farther away. So in a lot of cases, it's a huge resource. And I don't know where the person that's asking the question is from, but if you're in Ontario, there's a huge market for poultry manure.
Okay, thank you. It didn't specifically say in there, but maybe there can be a later connection or reach out if if they're looking for more info. But perfect. Thank you for answering that one. I'm just double checking here. Okay, so now there's a question here on I'm working in the potato industry, but only for a couple of years now, and would like to get involved in the boards of other organizations. How do you suggest going about that? Maybe I'll put that over to Kendra to start, since you were kind of speaking to board opportunities before.
Yeah, no, I think just starting to network, going to different conferences and connecting with people that maybe are sitting on the board currently or are part of staff at the different associations, and just understanding how and what the need is, if any, at the time. Just it doesn't happen overnight, I would say. It takes time to just see how you can volunteer your time and understand how you can get involved at all different levels, maybe not at the board level. And then through serendipity, I think it'll come where you get nominated to put your name forward to be on the board.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Liz or Christine, did you have anything else to add on that one? I just wanted to give you the opportunity if there was anything that you wanted to share as well.
You may.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh.
just if there was anything else that you wanted to share.
About boards,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you'll get nominated. A lot of people are very, very busy nowadays. Most people will kind of step back from being on a board, but the people who are on boards, you've really got to appreciate the time and the commitment and effort they've made to represent their interests and the interests of other people that share their same concerns and passion. It's a
Thank you for that.
dedication.
It is, yes. It's committing yourself beyond your regular day.
Yeah,
So it is appreciated, and as Kendra alluded to before too, it is important when we're trying to advocate for things and getting others understanding and interested in the things that we're that are important for us and that we're looking to kind of move forward. So um,
absolutely.
yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. I believe that then concludes this panel. I didn't see anything else in the Q&A there, so I wanted to say uh, thank you very much for joining today, Kendra, Liz, and Christine, and appreciate your time and in answering the questions and sharing your insights with the group.
Well, thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.